Alright, I'm going to level with you here. YouTube, it kind of sucks. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that, but this is not an insult to YouTube. It's to, I guess, explain to people how YouTube works. And maybe to help them, I don't know, feel better about what's going on right now. See, there's this issue right now that a lot of smaller channels are having that have below 1,000 subscribers, is that YouTube just said that it's a new policy that if you don't have 4,000 hours of watch time in the last 12 months and you do not have 1,000 subscribers, you are no longer going to have monetization on your channel. That's basically the gist of it. So, of course, a lot of people are upset about this because they liked the incentive of the possibility that you could get lucky with an upload and your video could make some money. Because most of the time when you upload videos on a channel that doesn't have a lot of subscribers, you make pennies. I was there, I know. You don't make a lot of money. You maybe make like, $1 occasionally off a video. So a lot of things have happened over the last year, man. The adpocalypse, all this controversy. There's just too many things to go into that have been about YouTube drama over the last, I'd say, year or 2 years, but in particular the last year. Although this stuff's been going on for a decade. Um, what I did last night, which was a mistake, I think I made a big mistake. See, sometimes when you're on YouTube, you start getting curious about certain types of things. You're like, you know what? I'm gonna look this up and see what's going on here. This little like subculture of people on YouTube, and you start going down a rabbit hole that's not very enjoyable. It becomes depressing, and this happened to me when I went to go watch smaller channels talk about this. I just started searching for channels that were talking about this that didn't have 1,000 subscribers because everyone I saw who was complaining on Twitter kept saying, hey, I have a YouTube account. I don't want to do YouTube anymore. I'm very upset. I've put years of work into this. I saw some people say they've been doing this for 5 years. And, they go, and I have 300 subscribers. So I went and watched videos from these people, and oh my god, it was revealing, I guess, in ways. In a lot of ways, it was like, look, it was reflective. Because it took me back to what I used to feel back when I didn't have a lot of subscribers. And I still don't have a lot of subscribers. I'm not a big channel, but I meet the requirement of the new YouTube standard. I have well over 1,000 subscribers, and I have well over 4,000 hours of watch minutes over the last. I have a lot more than that, so I'm not affected by this. If anything, this might even benefit me. I might be getting more ads because of this, because they're not going to be giving so many ads out to smaller channels. The smaller mid-sized channels like mine will probably be getting more ad revenue, I'm imagining, and the bigger channels will really benefit from this. So so you do need to know that when I'm saying this, I don't really suffer in this, and I understand that. But I'm empathetic because when I had God, like 38 subscribers, anytime anything happened that could jeopardize uploading a video, or me thinking that I could ever have people watch it, really upset me. Because if you don't know how YouTube works, the way to get your stuff seen is promotion. And a lot of the times your videos do not show up if you're not getting a lot of hits. If you don't have a lot of watch time, you don't show up in recommended videos too often. Or if somebody bigger than you doesn't give you a shout out. So it really always comes down to the grind, as most things do. It's how many hours you put into it. And even if you do that, even if you put, let's say you put 8 hours a day into a YouTube video, you still have no guarantee whatsoever that anyone's going to watch it. I have several friends of mine that I really like their YouTube channels and I like their content, and they make good content. I mean, they're people that make really well-informed, well-paced, relaxing videos, and they've been making them for a long time, and they make consistent uploads, and they do unique things, and nobody watches their channels. I mean, sometimes they don't even get 5 hits on a video, and you get discouraged. That's kind of how it is. You kind of start losing the drive to do it, because what's the point, you think, if nobody's even watching it? Because it's not just about the money, and it really shouldn't be about the money if you're doing YouTube especially, or really any kind of art, but other art forms. There's kind of a structure to how you make money. YouTube is a freak show when it comes to treating it like a business. You have to become really morally flexible, I feel, to really, which is probably true for most things, but to really get big, you have to be willing to go against yourself and a lot of the things you want to do in order to reach a wider audience. Because when you're trying to appeal to so many people that watch this platform, like a billion people, you can't. You try to. People tell you to be more niche and all that, and specific, but I don't always think that's the best advice. If you want a really big YouTube channel, I think the best thing is to try to be as accessible as you can to certain demographics. But if that's not your goal, if you don't want to be a channel with like millions of subscribers, I wouldn't do that. I don't want to be a channel with millions of subscribers, so that's why I don't do that. But you can do that. That is an option. Clickbait works. I know people try to fight this. Clickbait works. It always works. It's effective, and a lot of big channels use it for that reason. That doesn't mean that their videos aren't good, and when you click on them, it's not a good channel. But that doesn't mean the title's still not clickbaity. But there's nothing wrong with that. You have to get over your bias of clickbait. The more you fight it, the worse off you're going to be, because it's going to keep that cut that you have about it. It's just going to keep bleeding out more and more as you see other people grow faster than you. So back to me watching these videos. These are people that have, like, let's say 500 subs at the most. And they're on there saying, I've been making videos for 2 to 3 years. And now I can't monetize them. People don't really watch my stuff. I did this as a hobby. I spent a lot of money on this. I bought cameras. I bought microphones. And I don't know what to do, And they just talk for about 5 to 8 minutes. Really mundane stuff. You can kind of tell why their channel didn't really grow. It's like, oh, but, that's whatever. A lot of boring people are big on YouTube. I mean, for Christ's sakes, Leafy got big on here by just bullying people, making fun of people. The issue is that defeatist mindset, that attitude that you're never good enough, or that there's some kind of standard of talent or quality that you have to reach to get out there, or that you have to spend all this money on it, and you have to spend. It's not true. It's true in some cases. If you're really talented and you make really, really good videos that are really well edited and have really good commentary and really good flow and music and that, sure. But that's really not most YouTubers. Most YouTubers are someone who sits in front of a camera, they film some stuff responding to something or commenting on a video, and then they edit it back and forth between them talking and whatever in the topic. And then typically they just do some basic editing, close-ups, use some memes, do some tricks, and you try to make it like 10 minutes, and people love it. I mean, it's not like these people are making feature films or television shows. And I don't mean that as an insult. It's just not the same thing. YouTube's a different thing. There's a higher demand. You have to make content more often a lot of the time. You can't take months off to work on one video. You can once you get a certain following, or if you're doing certain types of content. But for the most part, it's the grind, right? So, God, I felt so depressed watching all these people talk about this, and I just thought I'd make this video trying to give some context and explain it as practically as I can to maybe help people understand a little bit better. When I first did YouTube, I was a teenager. I made my first YouTube video when I was like 15, 16 years old with my friend. It was called The Russian Film Critic. It was about a Russian who had never seen any American films. And he was sitting there reviewing films he was seeing for the first time, and he had no context of American cinema or American culture, so he's just this completely ignorant guy reviewing movies from America. And we uploaded it, and we were 16, and we worked hard on it for the time. This was like 2006, so things hadn't really evolved yet as much as they have in recent years. So we were using a crappy camera. I think we used a tape camera. The microphone was just the camera mic. And it was great. I was really proud of that video. And we uploaded them, and nobody watched them. And we made hundreds of videos over the next few years. But, from like 15 to 18, I made like probably 200 videos. I made music videos. I made shorts. I made reviews of movies. I reviewed Dexter's Laboratory. And that video got 150,000 hits. This was back in 06, 07, so it was a different era. And I thought, man, wow, 50,000 hits, this is baller, man. I mean, 150,000 hits, I'm going to be huge. And then I uploaded another video and it got 130,000 hits. And I thought, wow. And I had like 200 subscribers. And I thought, all right, this is going to grow. And we made videos, weekly. And a lot of them were, meme stuff, little quick. It was very Vine before Vine was a thing. I mean, I'm talking like 06, 07, I was making videos that are almost exactly like Vines. I'm not saying I invented them because everybody was doing stuff like this. But it was that, trying to make a joke in like 6 seconds and tell a little story in 6 to 10 seconds. And that was kind of what we were going for. And it never took off. We had videos get hits. I mean, I had probably 600,000 hits on that channel. And then I had another channel with my friend where we just uploaded random stuff like vlogs, and I uploaded little editing projects, and some of those videos would get 50,000 hits. Kenny Haunts from Kenny vs. Spenny actually got in touch with me one time because of a video I made, where we were kind of making a spoof comedy thing based off a Kenny vs. Spenny episode, and he actually got a hold of me. It was him, to tell me that he lied in the episode and all that. And I was like, holy crap, because I'm a big fan of his, and that was a big deal to me when I was like 18, hearing from Kenny Haunts. Because at that point, the only contact I had with anyone who worked in any kind of industry was meeting people at Comic-Cons or film festivals. But to have some guy be like, hey, I saw your video, and, that you made about me, I was like, oh, wow. And it, and I made movies with my friends. I made a lot of stuff. And you know what happened? I never made any money. I never really grew. I never got a fan base. But I had fun with my friends. And I learned how to make a video. I learned how to edit and pace and find humor in internet video format, because it's a different format. It's kind of got a different... And if you were around at that time, you were noticing how it was really developing and becoming something really big. I mean, it was already kind of blowing up, but there was so much happening. And you could tell that comedy and the pace of it, the rhythms of things were changing. And you had to adapt to that change because the sensibilities were going to be happening with millennials. And it's just proven to be true as time's gone on. And we made so much stuff, and then I moved. I moved away from Texas, where I grew up. Well, I lived in New Mexico for a few years and around, but I lived in Texas most of my life. And then I came up north. And I started another channel with a group of friends who were all college students. I think there was 12 of us in the group, and I think 9 of them were college students. And I was one of the only ones who wasn't a college student at the time. But we started a group. It was called Film Squad. And the idea was that everybody was going to get to write, direct, and act in projects in a series of videos. And we were going to do a lot of these. And we ended up making like 6. And then the group went from 12 to 3. To where it was just me and the guy who originally started it and my girlfriend making the videos. So one piece of advice I'd give you up front. Do not rely on other people, and do not hope for the group thing or a partnership thing if you can't keep it professional. Because when you're making stuff with your friends and you want to take it really seriously, and maybe, ego's starting to get in the way, you'll have friendships kind of fall apart over this stuff. And it's not worth it ultimately. For YouTube, I think. I think it's worth it if you're making a movie, but you should just best avoid making videos with your friends if you think they are not as serious about it as you are. It's just not worth it, in my opinion, because I had a great friend group, and doing that really affected us. Because when you're making people act, and you're asking them to do, I don't know, 8 to 10, 15 takes of something to get the line right so you can get it right, and you know the cut in your head, and you know how you want it to look. They get frustrated. They get angry. They feel like they're not doing good enough. They feel like you don't like them. They think they get insecure. It takes a lot of confidence to rise up to those things. So I come up north, and I start that group, and we don't ever have anything take off. None of our videos get hits at all. So I go, screw it. I'm gonna go make a movie. I'm gonna rent cameras from the school and go make a movie. So I rent these nice cameras. It's expensive, these $3,000 cameras I couldn't afford. I rent them, and I have a house that I can use out in the middle of nowhere, out in the woods, and it's creepy, and it's got a creepy basement. I'm like, I'm gonna make a low budget horror film that sells. That'll work. Every indie director's dream, make a low budget horror film with your friends. Basically, make Evil Dead. You're gonna be the next Sam Raimi. So I write a script in like 2 weeks. I get a budget up for special effects because we have the cameras. I have my friend's computer to edit on, and we buy a good editor. So we have everything ready. And at this point, you have to understand the only kind of videos I've ever made were YouTube videos or shorts. I hadn't actually worked on like a narrative feature all the way. So we shoot it in like 4 days. Like 12 people, we make a movie in like 4 days. It was a disaster. It went horrible. The movie's terrible. The cinematography's terrible. The editing's terrible. The acting's terrible. The only thing that's halfway interesting about it is the concept, I think. My first movie, Hunter. I think it had a good concept. I think if I was the age I am now and what I knew now technically about making movies, because I learned a lot then when I was 20. That was kind of a film school for me, and that was a big moment for the film squad. That was the moment that we thought, okay, we're not gonna settle for YouTube. We're gonna do something more. We're gonna do what so many people don't do. We're gonna actually go out and make something, and it's gonna be good. And everyone trusted me. Everyone trusted that I was really talented and smart because I knew so much about movies. And it sounded like I knew what I was talking about. And I really didn't. I didn't realize how much time it took to prep lighting. I didn't realize how long it took to get the shot right and get sound right and all that. And it was stressful, and ultimately the only people who ever really saw that movie were friends and family. So that I made one more movie with some of the people from that group. It was a found footage movie, a found footage comedy, and that actually was something I'm pretty proud of till this day. I'm still proud of that little movie, and I show it to people sometime. I think it's a really good little found footage film. It's got a good plot to it, and it's funny. I think we really kind of did that one well, and I thought, okay, maybe I'm getting better at this. Maybe I'm understanding storytelling. I'm understanding pace and dialogue, how to give a scene rhythm, how to block a scene. I felt like I was getting better. So that whole thing falls apart, and I'm just thinking of projects. I've written like 10, 12 scripts with my friends, maybe even more. Friends come over, and we sit in my house where I have a projector, and we watch movies like Akira and Oldboy, or Sleepaway Camp, or Basket Case. And then sometimes we watch Fellini films, and then sometimes we watch complete schlock, and then sometimes we watch old TV shows just to get a sense of what it was like to make that stuff at the time it was made, because I want to understand. If you can understand the past, maybe you can understand the current place you are right now in the future. So I studied. I got film books. I studied photography. I tried to get better. I started to work on editing, and I got pretty good at that. And I actually started to get work as an editor. I was able to do freelance editing for people. I could edit people's home movies and their short films and weddings and little documentaries. And I was like, I'm getting good at this instinct of editing. But I didn't think I was a very good storyteller. Well, after that, I met another friend, and he became like my muse. We became like about as good of a friendship as I could possibly have ever hoped for. And we started our own thing. And as soon as we met, he was a writer who wrote 6 books, and all I had done was videos. I'd never written really. And he had written books. He was an English major. He was very educated. He knew a lot about literature and storytelling and structure, things I wasn't as informed in. And we just started talking all the time, like these 10-hour conversations about our future and what we wanted to do with our lives and the kind of stories we wanted to tell and the kind of movies we wanted to see that we didn't think anyone was making. And we thought maybe we can do this. So I had quit at that time. I had just settled for my everyday job, which I made good money at. I made a lot of good money at that job, and I still make my living at that job, and I still make most of my money at that job. But that's we'll get to that a little bit. I'm trying to give you guys what it's like, I guess, what it's like when you have a passion for something and it doesn't really go anywhere, but what you should strive for, I guess. If you can take anything from this ramble of a video. So we make a movie. We make a David Lynch parody. It's a parody of Blue Velvet and stuff like Mulholland Drive, and directors who try to do David Lynch and just don't get it right. It was almost a self-aware student film. It was like mocking student films, which I'm sure is not original, but we thought it was clever. And it was the first time that I ever worked on characters with somebody, and we really wrote something out, and it had subtext. And we had themes, and then I realized that the camera work and the way you edit the movie and the way that you direct everyone and do everything comes from that. You have to know what the idea is. and then is trying to make that idea come to life more and more. You're sculpting it. So we made that movie, and we had a screening, and we showed it to a bunch of people, and it was a disaster. There was about 8 people that liked it, and they love it. It became like a cult film to them, and everyone else hated it. And this was a room of about 80 people, and everyone told us at the end how bad it was, and we really liked it. But it was made for us, and that was kind of a mistake. We made it totally for us. It had no appeal outside of understanding what every line of dialogue was. It all had a deeper meaning. Everything was us being pretentious on purpose, but it still had this hard way to get drawn into it if you weren't into the kind of stuff we were spoofing. But it had flaws. I'm not denying that. So we go to make YouTube videos. We start reviewing movies and making YouTube videos together. And we work really hard on this. We work on a TV series for YouTube, a web series, because we go, that's what people want to watch. They want to watch well-produced, well-shot, stuff that has writing. Even though it wasn't great, but we put a lot of effort into it for YouTube. And we were shooting them weekly. That bombed. Then we started doing movie reviews. That didn't do well. We had like our Snowpiercer review, got like 800 hits or something like that. And we reviewed like every movie that came out for like a year. We were roommates, and we'd go see movies together and then come home and record. And then we got sick of that, so we started writing our script for our next movie, which was a film about people making movies in a small town. It was a film about a guy who lives not in a small town, but not in a city, and he tries to make movies with his friends, and it doesn't work out. And everything in the movie came from my real life and his real life, and we put ourselves into the screenplay. And all of the dialogue came from our real lives. All of the interactions, all of the things that happen were literally just taken from our experience, both of us, for years trying to make stuff. And you know what happened? The craziest thing. I made a good movie. A really good movie. Especially when you consider budget, and that we didn't have professional actors, and we shot it in like a month, maybe a month and a half, when you consider that we had to do some reshoots because one of my actors left 2 weeks before shooting was over, so we had to reshoot all of their scenes. Me playing that part, which I was not going to be in the movie. I was never in the film, but luckily I have a small role. But we wrote and directed that, and it was so personal and so honest. That the truth just comes out in the frame, and the camera work, I noticed when we showed it. We had another premiere. This time it was like 100 people. It was a lot more people than the previous movie, and this was like a year later, and we had just bombed with YouTube. YouTube was a failure. We made some videos we were really happy with. We thought we had a brand. We thought we made some good content, sketch stuff, but sketch stuff just wasn't catching on. Improv, we were in the wrong place. So YouTube, I think we had 38 subscribers, and we had made like 100, maybe not 100 videos, but we made like 50 videos over the last couple years, and none of them really had hits. So we show our second movie to like 100 people, and everyone loved it. Everyone was laughing at the parts that I meant to be funny. Everyone was clapping at parts that were supposed to be like clap-worthy. Everyone was sad when I wanted them to be sad, and it was this weird feeling. I was sitting there with a bunch of people that were enjoying something I made, and they enjoyed it the way that I wanted them to. I manipulated them. I got them to buy into that illusion, at least those people that were there. So I start giving copies out to everyone, saying, you have to watch this, people say it's good. And I get written up in the local paper. I do some online interviews about the movie. We talk about taking it to some film festivals. And ultimately it doesn't work out. We couldn't basically, to money reasons, we couldn't get it to a place where it was good enough to go to festivals on a technical level. But it was a great movie you could show people. You could give them like a good DVD copy of, or you could show, like you could show it a local screening, like what we were doing. We were going to show it on the campus here. And everyone liked it. I never really met anyone who told me it was bad. And these were people that told me when my stuff was bad, or when they didn't like it. They would come up and tell me very honestly, brutally honestly, like, you suck. I'd be like, oh my god, okay. So I was spending most of my time editing. I just got into freelance work, and I started working on website, doing just editing stuff. Well, I still had my day job. So we had a success with that movie in the sense that it was what we wanted it to be. It was about as good as it could be for what we had, and we were very practical, and we clearly learned from the previous movie. It was better edited, it was better paced, it had better blocking, everything was better. So we planned a third movie and a follow-up season to our web series. Well, we never made that follow-up movie, but we had several ideas. I think we wrote like 5 different scripts to what our next movie was going to be. We never did. So we focused on YouTube then on our show. Second season, nobody watched. So we just stopped doing it. Then we came up with a new show. Kind of it's an Always Sunny in Philadelphia for YouTube. Nobody watched it either. We had premieres for that where people showed up, and that actually got a really good response. So we felt like we were getting better. I felt like I was getting technically better, and I was understanding storytelling, and I was developing my own style. Because when you get to that point where you understand a lot of the technical aspects, you start to get creative with it. That's where you get your imagination comes in. This is the point where you have to add something to it. So, needless to say, I won't go into detail because it's very personal. But I had a falling out with that person that we made videos with, and that I made videos with and movies with. And at that point, we had pretty much given up on the YouTube thing because it hadn't gone anywhere, and we had given up on so many things. But we were going to move, and we were going to go make movies and try to sell them, try to take them to festivals and get them picked up for distribution. We thought we could get something on Netflix. We knew other people that got stuff on Netflix that we had met and talked to, that were people we had communicated with that had made very low budget stuff. And we said, we can do this. Well, that just didn't work out. And like I said, I won't go into it. But I was alone. And I was a guy who'd been doing YouTube for years. Now, don't get me wrong. I didn't consistently do YouTube. I did some YouTube videos when I was like a teenager. Then I didn't do YouTube for years until I met another, that group of friends I had. Then we made a few videos. Then that didn't work out. Then I didn't do YouTube videos for like another 2 years. Then I met another friend, and we started doing them again, and we did them infrequently. I never did it as a regular thing, ever. Very inconsistent. Wouldn't upload for months at a time. And I kept getting mad that people wouldn't watch my stuff, and then I'm like, well, I don't upload consistently. So after my friend left, I started working on my own stuff. I started being like, all right, I have to take what he taught me about writing in a lot of ways and apply that to my next project. So I started doing YouTube videos again, just solo stuff, where I just talk and rant about stuff that was ticking me off or things that I had interest in. So that 38 subscribers goes up to like 200. And I'm like, wow, man, one of my videos got hits. It got like 2,000 hits. That's awesome. So I keep making videos, and then they don't really get the hits like that again. So then I adapt, I kept trying to go back to the old way. I started to make short films again. I started to be more of a storyteller, tell these stories, and not just be a YouTuber, a personality. So I put more and more time into it. And then I just started realizing it was almost like consistency was key. It wasn't, I don't want to say it wasn't quality, but I don't think it is. It was like the quantity really did matter. You had to kind of get a backbone for it. You had to make so much YouTube stuff that you figure it out. Like when I was making that movie, and I didn't know what I was doing. And then because I didn't know what I was doing, I had to learn how to do it. So every movie I made got a little bit better. So I thought, well, that could work here. Every YouTube video I make, it may not get better in quality, but I'll understand YouTube more. Just like you can understand movies more and how to get people to get affected by them. Maybe you can understand how to get people to click on your video. So I did that for like 2 months. Nothing really took off. Then in December of 2016, one video gets 100,000 hits. A video a few days later gets 100,000 hits. Another video gets 15,000 hits. I go from 230 subscribers to 2,500 in like a day. It was in a day. I was almost at 3,000 subscribers in one day. I ended up getting there pretty quick after that. So then we go into the next year, next year, and I'm thinking, I'm going to be a big YouTuber. I'm making a lot of money. I mean, I made a lot of money off those videos. I go, man, I'm making money. I'm going to be able to be a YouTuber now. I finally figured it out. And I did that, and then for a while, nothing really happened again. Wasn't getting the hits. I mean, I could get a video to get 10,000 hits sometimes, but it wasn't regular. Most videos only got a few hundred hits. And it was mostly my subscribers watching them. It was very rare that outside people were watching them. So I got discouraged again. I was just gonna quit and say, why am I wasting my time on this? I want to make movies. I want to do other stuff. I want to be an editor. Why am I screwing around? I don't have the time. I don't have the weeks and hours to put into this to really craft these videos the way I want them to. And so I was just gonna bail again. And then I kept going back to that it's the struggle almost that makes it what it is, makes it worth it. It's what builds your character. So I stuck with it through thick and thin, and I adapted again. I changed everything. I changed my name. I changed my avatar. I changed what my video content was, because people kept giving me feedback. Do this. Do this. You're best when you do this. Be this. And I listened. Well, then I was stuck. I felt like I was stuck at 3,000 subscribers forever. I mean, it was a pain. It was like, well, I finally reached this threshold, and then I can't go anywhere from there. So, it was rough. And you get burnt out. But then you have to just enjoy videos. Then I started to be, what do I want to talk about? What stuff that interests me? Well, I love movies, and I wasn't talking about movies. I was talking about politics and the media, and all sorts of stuff that I didn't have a passion for it. And then people kept telling me, why don't you talk about movies? You clearly love this stuff. Why don't you talk about just film and the box office and films you think are underrated? Why don't you talk about your favorite movies? Why don't you just review stuff again like you used to, but do it right this time? Because you know how. Like, you're right. So I went back to that. And the channel went from that 3,000, now it's over 6,000. And, I have, God, millions of watch minutes. I don't know how many hours it equals up to. I've never done the math on it. I made a lot of money over the last year, the ad revenue, and especially the last month or so. I've had a lot of new subscribers. Now, here's the thing. This still isn't a job. I still don't make enough money off this to do it as a living. I still don't get enough out of it. I have no desire to be an e-celeb, but the point is what I'm trying to get at and why I told you that story. Okay, because that was I know it's gonna seem like I'm not trying to be too loquacious, but I'm just saying that I know it's gonna seem like maybe I was just trying to share a personal story to manipulate you. A lot of YouTubers do that. They like to share their personal life to make you think that they're connecting with you, that they're more human. But it's not that. It's almost like a cautionary tale. Or I want to warn you to set your expectations correctly. Because even all the work I've put in for 10 years, and it's not a lot of work, but being inconsistent, it wasn't until I actually started taking YouTube halfway seriously and actually trying to study it as YouTube and not what I wanted it to be that I actually had growth. And now I have a following. I have a show that people watch. I'm not one of the biggest YouTubers. I'm not even one of the small big channels, but I have a following and it grows and it can still grow and it's still fun. And I make videos that I want to make and I make them the way I want to make them. And people who have the same taste as you, and they like how you speak, and they like how you articulate things, and they like your opinions and all that, they'll follow you. And those fans will be loyal. Those fans will be loyal, but if you leave them, they'll leave you. So you have to burn through it. So all those people, when I watch those videos, what I saw was a lot of people that spent so much time on buying this equipment and trying to come up with these ideas that they thought would give them a million hits on YouTube and fame because they think it would fill this hole that they have inside them, like they would feel better, and it would take away this feeling. You want to be validated. You want people to validate you, and I understand we're all insecure, but you can't do that. Because the truth is, most people are never successful making art. Most people are not successful on YouTube. Millions of people make YouTube videos, and most are never successful. Even what I do it's crazy. I'm as successful as I am. It's very rare. And I can tell you I've been doing it for years. It's not common to have videos get hits. Most of the time you upload a video, nobody watches it. And it doesn't mean you make bad content. It really doesn't. It's luck. It's figuring it out and all that. But when you get discouraged, you then don't grow as a creator and form your own personality a little bit more and become a better version of yourself. I took my losses and made them strengths. And I've been doing that for years. So as a teenager, I was a kid who was getting hits, but I didn't know how to handle it. Now when I get hits, I can capitalize on it and add subscribers and grow my channel and grow how many people watch me and how much more time I can put into videos and stuff. I don't get to put a lot of time in my YouTube videos, unfortunately. I usually just get to record, and then I have to slap it together to upload because I don't have the hours to sit around. I wish I did. I really do. It's not laziness. It's just it's literally a lack of time. And I guess I could make less videos, but there's stuff I want to talk about. So you gotta do it as a hobby. And if YouTube starts telling you that they don't want to give you money because you don't have many subs and you don't bring money in, you shouldn't be upset about that, because when I made those movies, nobody paid me. I paid for them, and I lost money. And nobody wanted to give me money because I made something. There becomes this entitlement on YouTube because of the money. You feel like you're owed because you made something. But what YouTube provides for you is a platform for people to find your stuff, which is the hardest part. See, I made all that stuff, and I didn't have anywhere to put it, anywhere in a place where people could see it. I had to make my own audience. But on YouTube, there is an audience. and you can find an audience for anyone, anything. I mean, look, Logan Paul and Jake Paul, look how big they are, and I know their audience is kids, but like, you don't need to be some genius, all right? You just gotta you got to get the instinct of it. You got to put your 10,000 hours in. And I know some of you have been doing it for 4 or 5 years and you say, I don't have any hits. Well, yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't either. And I didn't quit. And, you know, even if I stop this channel and do something else, I'm probably going to still make YouTube videos down the road just for the fun of it. I like talking about stuff. And I like having the discussion in the comments. I like sometimes surprising people. I don't know. There's so much to it that's gratifying when you get a comment. Someone says that, you know, I have cancer, and when I'm doing chemo, when I'm getting chemo, I listen to your videos and they help me get through it. I work out and I listen to your videos. Me and my wife stay up at night in bed and listen to your videos. I've gotten them all, you know. And then you realize, even if you're not a big channel and you're not making a lot of money, that you have impacted people, and that's such a rare thing. I have over 1 million hits on this channel. That means at least, you know, a few 100,000 people clicked on a video. And that doesn't mean they watched it. That doesn't mean they watched the whole thing or they liked me or not. But they at least gave you a few seconds of their time and showed interest in something I did. A lot of people. You have to value that. You have to value that so much, because that's what life ends up being, is little victories a lot of the time. You can have all the money in the world and all the fame in the world, and you'll still be as depressed and lonely as you were before. And it's too true. You can see this with so many people that had everything and they just lose their minds. You're not happier necessarily because of that, which I know is a cliche message, but it's not cliche in the sense that life in general is it's just not fun. Time screws with you, our perception of time, and as life goes on, things get more complicated and weird, and things change, and you can't control them, and you want to control them, and you want to go back to the feeling of childhood where it was less complicated, and it seems to get more complicated, and it's hard not to become cynical about so much. But you have to go back to that guy who made videos and why you liked it, or that girl and why you liked making them. And I try to stick to that guy, because I was a kid who liked making videos with my friends, and I had no concept of YouTube as any way to get fame. It was just like, wow, other people want to make videos like I do with my friends. I mean, I know Smosh is kind of a joke now, but back when I saw that Pokemon video, I thought, well, it's cool these two guys made a video in their bedroom and like people watched it. I mean, I thought that's really cool, because that's what I was doing. I make videos in my bedroom. Does people watch that stuff? Who knew? You know, it was for, like, you know, it really evolved, and we got, like, Angry Video Game Nerd, and people had more production value. It used to just be real. It was like America's Funniest Home Videos. And you can't give up. If you can't handle it, if you can't handle the stress of it and doing it, then you probably should give up, because it's not for you. But if you convince yourself not to do it, then you're never going to get anywhere. And that's just how it is. And you'll never know, and you'll never get better at it. If you're not getting a lot of subs and you're not getting a lot of hits, it's probably just because you haven't figured it out on some basic level. And that's fine, because part of life is figuring out how to accomplish stuff. And you can't know everything and accomplish anything. You can't... I mean, God, I try to do way too many things in my life, certainly. God, I hope this doesn't seem like it just went on with no point. I hope it feels like it all connects somewhat. It's that I was a kid who loved movies. I fell in love with film as a teenager. I wanted to make movies, and I thought I could just do it, and I didn't know how to do it, and then I learned how to do it. You can do the same with YouTube. You can watch YouTube videos and love them. I still love YouTube videos, and then you can learn how to do what other people do. Most YouTube channels are copycat channels, and there's a reason for that. It's because a lot of the format that's on here that people use works. But if you're going to try to be a Let's Player, there's so many of those, you know? If you're going to try to just be another review channel, there's so many of those, or commentary channel. You have to find ways around it. You just do. You have to learn how to maneuver around in it, and how to use promotion and all that. I know it sounds really crappy, like there's no big advice. My only advice would be just to do it, and repetition, and through repetition and taking your bruises, you'll get better at it. Just naturally, you should get better at it. If you're not, then there's something wrong beyond that. But yeah, you should just naturally get more hits, I think, because, you know, I had to wait like a year to go from like that 2,000 boost to 6,000. I had to wait a while, but now it's there, and the channel's, you know, growing every day. There's, you know, 100 subscribers being added right now. The channel's been growing consistently, because I know how to ride the waves a little bit better now. I'm not a master. I don't know PewDiePie's. I don't know how he gets the hits he does. I don't know how, you know, a lot of the big channels do. I'm not like but I you know, I can get a video that gets, you know, 180,000 hits. I by design too. I know I can do that, and it's something you just got to figure out, and it's that'll make you a better person, even if you never have success financially and you never get the fame you want or the respect you want. You have to find value in yourself, and if the project makes you happy and you feel fulfilled doing it and you feel good that you had that experience with those people, even if they're gone now, those friends that you had or those people that meant so much to you and now they're just like memories. They're no longer people that you can talk to like you used to be able to, and you still have conversations with them in your head even though they're not around anymore. It's like a half remembered whisper thinking about those things, but that's what the muse is. That's what inspires you. It's taking the things from your real life. It's got to work on YouTube the way it does it in other forms. You have to be yourself, and you have to be honest, and you have to start coming from a place of truth, and you have to start coming from a place of what you can provide as an individual. Because if you're just trying to be everyone else, if you're just trying to be another YouTube channel, just like you're trying to be the next Quentin Tarantino, you end up being nobody. You end up being generic and boring. You have to say, what do I like about myself? How do I become more confident? How do I develop that personality? Knowing oneself, an idea of it, and not just sculpting your work, but sculpting yourself. Because you are a work in process, just like the art is. And the art is a reflection of you. So if you can't get your life together, if you can't get yourself together, your YouTube channel, all that's never going to come together either. So instead of complaining that you're not getting 20 cents from some video when you have like 450 subscribers, or you're complaining because you spent all this money on a GoPro and these microphones and you're not getting the viewers you thought, or you just assumed that people were going to watch this free stuff. People seem to forget that YouTube is free. You just assume people were going to love and respect you for uploading free content. Something, because they don't have any thing. Then it's like when you go to a restaurant, you pay a certain amount of money, so you expect the food to be a certain quality. When stuff is free, it's just kind of random. That's not that people don't make money off ad revenue, but you don't really pay anything, so it's just random. It's hard to control it and focus it. You have to be you, and you have to make your work you. And if people like you, then that's where your audience comes in. And I think that's true for most things in life. I think if people like you, if you own a company and you make a good product, it always comes from you figuring out something someone else didn't figure out, at that moment. That doesn't mean there's not somebody better than you, because there always is. But you can still be one of those people that makes an impact. I mean, there's 7 billion people in the world, and if you can impact a few 100,000 in your life, or just a few thousand, in a big way, you can actually make it mean something to them. That means something, man. And don't take that for granted. If you can sit in that room like I did with 100 people from your area that you said, hey, I'm having a screening for a movie, do you want to come watch it? And they all love it, and you can feel the joy of that, then, man, that's life. I wanted to make a movie and have people enjoy it. I made a movie and people enjoyed it. It didn't win an Oscar. I didn't get it put out there, but people liked my movie, and I'm not unhappy with it. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it because it was me, and I'm proud of it because it was my life, and I'm proud that my life is still going and I'm still on a journey, and I don't know what I'm going to make. And you know what I did this last year? I got some people together and I made another movie. I made another one, and I haven't shown it to anyone yet. I haven't screened it yet. I'm still in the post-production phase, which there's a lot of audio and correction and all that. It takes a long time. Especially when you don't have money, you really got to rely on a lot on post-production for very important things. So I'm working on that, but I made another movie. I wrote another script. I had it planned for months, and we filmed it. We got it done, and it sucked. It was not the movie, but it might suck, but the making it sucked. But if it wasn't for YouTube, I wouldn't have been able to build the confidence up again to make that movie. So I made another film because of YouTube. It brought me back. So the art is your life, and your life is the art. I think people perceive it wrong I think people get so much wrong when they try to view that art's a reflection of life. That is true. That word is, is what it is. You have to be empathetic towards characters, and it's a reflection of things an art is. But also, life is now reflecting art because it's been around so long, and we are living, a lot of people live through art. They perceive things through it, and I I think that's that beautiful thing. And if you can get an equilibrium, if you can get a sense of inner peace, a zen, with expectations versus reality, if you can understand that you probably are never going to be the person you want to be, but you can still be pretty good. You know, you don't have to be great, but you can still be good. It's not hard to make a movie. It's hard to make a good movie. It's even harder to make a great movie. It's not hard to get big on YouTube, but it's hard to get big on YouTube and feel happy about that at the same time, that you're happy with your content and you feel like you're not being cheap with it. It's easy to settle for YouTube doesn't like me and I'm not good enough and I'm never going to get hits and I'm boring and I'm going to sit here and complain and whine and be unhappy and say the system's against me because they won't promote me. And why do they only care about minutes? Why don't they care about views? Why don't they care that I got 80,000 views on this video? You can settle for that. That's fine. Or you can get a camera, you can get a microphone, whatever you have. Shoe One Head uses a 480 webcam. The standards aren't high, people. You can make another video. And it's starting over in the sense that it's a new video. It's not something that's been made before. But you are not the same as you were when you made that last video. If you can remember that you can grow, even if your content doesn't, even if your fame doesn't, you can grow. Other people want to grow with you. And they might even love you. It's kind of crazy. And that goes for life, relationships, friendships, and just trying to be successful in whatever form of whatever thing you want to be successful in. But what do I know? I don't really know anything. That's just my story. And I know this went on way longer than I expected. But it's the cliche, it's the journey, not the end destination. But really, if you don't enjoy the journey while it's happening, you'll never have any stories to tell, and you'll just never get to be satisfied. You know, that's the main issue. You gotta keep going. You gotta keep going. So I believe in you guys. Get 1,000 subscribers and then get that 4,000 hours of watch minutes. You can do it. I did it. I'm a moron. Lots of morons did it. You can do it too. Just keep grinding, man. Take it as an incentive so you can get there to make the money. And then get 20,000 subs, get 50,000 subs, and then be a big channel and show people what you can do. It's all up to you, man. Or woman, whoever you are. It's up to you. And it's not that the bigger channels don't care about you. It's not that YouTube doesn't even care about you. It's just that it's not a cost-efficient thing anymore with the ads being pulled. And I didn't care about making money when I was small, and I didn't make money when I was small. And I don't really care about it now. And I make a shocking amount of money monthly on this extra money. It's weird. Without a Patreon and everything. But, I don't know. The audience will follow you. And you'll follow yourself to that next place. So don't give up on yourself. That's it. You can give up on everyone else if you want, but don't give up on you. You're worth it. I think you are. I don't know you. I mean, you might be a terrible person. You might be somebody that I absolutely hate. But you still have value. You still exist. So, I guess the question is, do you take the challenge? Do you want to record? Do you want to do that next video? If you don't do it. If you can't not do it, then you have to. You have to. Alright guys, like, comment, and subscribe. And please, rewind those VHS tapes before you bring them back to the store. Come on, people. Have some courtesy. Just a little bit. I mean, I work